Things are going extremely well. And while I've had the opportunity to visit with residents, knocking on doors, as well as at various events that I've also had an opportunity to go to, City Water, Light, and Power has been on the forefront of what people want to talk about, what they're concerned about, making sure that City Water, Light, and Power maintains its status at providing reliable energy at low rates. That's been one of the platform points that I've been talking about and leading the conversation with since nearly the beginning of the effort. They're also concerned about, I guess it's by virtue of the television commercial that we have been running about how it is important for opportunities for young people in the city of Springfield so that we can be growing as a vibrant city. I think that's one of the things that we need to really have as our next leader to move into the next chapter of the city, is to have Springfield be a place where there's job opportunities, there's businesses that are looking to come here, and that we've made Springfield strong with a sense of attractiveness for neighborhoods, promoting educational quality as well as safety. So that's what I'm hearing when I have a chance to visit with voters on their porch fronts, as well as when we have a chance to go to events and just kind of visit and mingle with those who are in attendance.
We were noting last week that the campaign's been overwhelmingly, or for the most part, positive. What differentiates you from your opponent, would you say?
Well, I would say that one of the things that differentiates us is a sense of transparency. As county auditor, I have been extremely transparent on our county auditor's office website. We've got the budgets for the years that I've had a chance to serve as county auditor. We've been meeting minutes for our Workplace Safety Advisory Board, and we've put on the audits and the management letters that have been referencing those audits on the website, so that any time of the day or night, individuals can see how Sangamon County government is performing in terms of its fiscal situation. And as county auditor, I'm very proud of the fact that Sangamon County has had a fiscal sense of responsibility and delivers taxpayer service as well. When it also comes to transparency, I've, as you know, released on a consistent basis 5 years of my family's personal tax return. I think that's important for voters, citizens, to know the backgrounds of those who wish to serve them in an executive role or in a particular financial role. I always cite the example of Rita Crundwell, the controller of Dixon, Illinois, who really, if we had seen her tax returns, we would have, at least the citizens of Dixon, would have been able to, see that something was not going well in that regard. I think we differ on the issue of putting trash hauling fees on CWLP garbage bills. And I believe we differ when it comes to electricity, providing energy for City Water, Light, and Power. And I also believe we differ in our performance of our duties. As auditor, I have been very, unique in administering the duties of the auditor's office in doing some things that are not necessarily required, but fall into the purview of making things better for county government. And whether it was enacting the voluntary severance plan or the workplace safety board, these are things that weren't on my job description as county auditor, but we did to move and advance the cause of helping Sangamon County government be fiscally responsible. And so I believe that's where another point where we differ as well. I'm proud of the service that I provided as county auditor. I think it's reflective of how I have the potential to lead and how I have the potential to do the right thing when it comes to being prudent with taxpayer dollars. And I've also, when we were referencing Governor Edgar earlier, I believe I kind of learned from an individual who led when he was in public service in that regard, and I believe that I've contributed to that effort.
Would you say that the city of Springfield is a fiscally responsible governmental body? You're talking about bringing that to county government. What's your sense of the city?
Prior to 2011, I think even Mayor Houston would describe the fiscal situation in the city of Springfield as virtually bankrupt from his perspective. And so indeed, a fiscal sense of responsibility was not perhaps on the forefront of how the city was administered prior to Mayor Houston's arrival.
One of the differences in CWLP is Jim Langfelder said that he wants more renewables, and I know he got the 25% thing, right? But he still wants to stay, solar panel, maybe a solar farm. If you're going to invest that much in wind, invest in something that the city will have, possibly in a public-private partnership. You say this is not the time to invest significantly in renewables, and I'm just wondering how that matches up with where you see the city going in history.
Well, right now, we need reliability and low cost for ratepayers of city water, light, and power. And I believe that we need to, as mayor, get our ship in shape in that regard before we begin exploring additional opportunities. I mean, it's expensive, and right now, if we're going to be attracting new customers, businesses, residents to the city of Springfield, I believe we need to keep utility rates low before we invest in some other additional things that could cause them to spike. If we are looking at alternative sources of energy that have a lot of preparation costs, building costs, a solar farm that could then provide that solar alternative energy, who's to say that we will not have enough individuals who want to take advantage of that opportunity or pay that premium for that, because indeed it will cost a premium. And then if that indeed is the case, where we do not have enough people who wish to engage in that, then who pays for the startups costs that were required?
On the flip side, might some companies say, hey, your city's running on coal, and coal is eventually going to lessen because of federal regulations and whatever other concerns there are. So you're not cutting edge.
Well, but if indeed other coal powered plants begin to fade away, and we have that ability to continue providing as in compliance as possible with federal regulations, why wouldn't we want to take advantage of our being the only provider in an area that can be providing that to not only our ratepayers, but ratepayers throughout the country, that we could then help our ratepayers and keep utility rates low. That's got to be the bottom line. Keeping our CWLP rates low for current residents and as well as businesses, as well as to bring future businesses and residents to the city of Springfield.
What's your understanding of what would attract millennials to Springfield or to stay in Springfield? What are the principles or programs that they would espouse that would cause them to come here or stay here?
Well, I believe that first of all, we need to have job opportunities of a attractive nature to millennials. If we can capitalize on the medical community and have an incubator that's tied to the medical community to bring innovators and entrepreneurs of a millennial age to engage in that sandbox of opportunity, develop and market new products, I think that would be an attractive job opportunity for millennials. But we need, first and foremost, we need job opportunities to attract those millennials. And then we need cultural amenities to attract those millennials. And if downtown living is a component of that attractiveness, then we need to market downtown's potential for not only entertainment, but also in working and living together, and celebrate downtown as a neighborhood that could be attractive to millennials. We also need to bring, as I've said before, some green space opportunities to downtown to attract those millennials who may be, beginning attention to focus on provide even to millennials who aren't interested in starting a family. So first and foremost, job opportunities that are attractive to that generation. And then second, cultural and residential amenities that would have them spotlight Springfield as some place that they can call their home.
What about recreation beyond bars?
Well, recreation beyond bars, as I mentioned, green space, and the whatever other attractions millennials are seeking, we can engage them and ask what we can do to make that more of an attractive place other than what the bar scene provides.
I was out of town, Paul, when you came up with your proposal to combine the Department of Community Relations with Economic Development. And I know that's a difference between you and your opponent, but over time, the Department of Community Relations is the one that hears discrimination complaints. So if you're African American, perhaps if you're gay and people are discriminating, that's where you go. And now you're saying that should be folded into economic development. Doesn't that diminish or lessen the impact of the anti-discrimination arm of city government?
I do not believe it lessens the impact at all. In fact, I believe it elevates the involvement through economic development to provide that focus that can be part of the attractiveness of what we need to bring more residents to the city of Springfield. If we are seen as a welcoming community by what community relations is able to show how it accomplishes that, then that's part of how we attract businesses and residents and customers to the city of Springfield by saying community relations has assisted Springfield in being a attractive community in which to live, in which all individuals of all races and creeds and genders can enjoy living here in the city of Springfield. And the reason for that is there are other things that I'd like to bring into the family of economic development as well. Not just community relations, but also the building and zoning department, I believe, needs to also have that focus of economic development. And here's organizationally why I think that way. The priority has to be growth and strength and opportunity for the city of Springfield. And with that lens and that focus of economic development and growth, strength, and opportunity for Springfield, that's the way to arch the mission for growing the city of Springfield with being an attractive community. Community relations, building and zoning, economic development, all working for that priority focus under Mayor Palazzolo.
Could you I'm sorry, I don't see it. Can you explain more, maybe a little bit more thoroughly how do you see that being structured? Maybe one person at the very top over all of these?
Yes.
Okay, and then, so what all would you put under this umbrella?
Economic development, community relations, building and zoning that currently is in public works. Building and zoning could go under economic development too. Again, if we're trying to help Springfield be welcoming and forward-thinking on helping a new business move through the regulatory process, that's the way to have it under that focus, as that priority. Organizationally, economic development becomes the administration's focus and priority, and so everything that serves under that economic development umbrella keeps that in mind as their purpose to advance the city with regards to jobs and businesses and new residents to the city of Springfield.
I can see two of those components. The community relations, I just don't see how that doesn't get diminished under that.
I mean, will they still be
What
able?
did you do to keep it from kind of losing importance?
Well, indeed, the individuals who are currently engaged in the services of community relations would still be engaged in the same services that they deliver now. Only they would have as their purpose and focus to keep in mind economic development. And without
If the landlord's not letting you move into a place you think because you're black, how does the fact that you're going for economic development change what you're doing?
because if we're going to bring new residents, that is an example that needs to be corrected for the future so that it doesn't happen again. And that information then is under economic development to be shared to other components of the department so that we can avoid it, so that it doesn't become a complaint issue again in the future. It's got to be a priority for not only bringing businesses, but making it aware that we are a community that welcomes all individuals. And that's part of economic development. If we're not a welcoming community, then individuals of all natures are not going to be looking to Springfield as their place to want to do business.
So would you maintain the current funding and current funding?
Absolutely, absolutely. And if there's natural, duplication of duties from a clerical standpoint, then that can be, streamlined. But certainly, the individuals who serve and that focus that they have for that immediate mission then has a larger purpose for making Springfield attractive to provide new opportunities for businesses and customers and residents of the city of Springfield.
And where's the neighborhood person in this calculus?
Again, under economic development. Again, it's a
Neighborhood?
yeah,
What do you call it?
the neighborhood revitalization coordinator. I've offered an organizational structure that includes a city planner, a neighborhood development director, and a diversity director.
So the city planner is under economic development?
Yep, yep.
Not under the mayor, in the office of the mayor?
It would right now, the organizational thought is to have it under economic development, and the diversity director would either be under the mayor or in human resources, and that's where we'd include that.
And you think you can put all these new positions in a static headcount and budget situation?
Yes, we've done that in county government. In fact, in county government, we've reduced our head count in the last several years by 100 individuals. We can always continue to streamline how we have employees engaged in the delivery of services, and repurposing will help us achieve what we need to achieve by having those new positions with new responsibilities to help move the city forward.
So you wouldn't necessarily be looking for new revenue for these, you would be looking to make adjustments.
And we'd like to ask the council to provide the funds that are currently engaged in with an inspector general for the city planner, to be proactive with the city planner rather than reactive with an inspector general. As you've heard me say, we're the only city our size outside of the Chicago area with a inspector general, and we're the only city our size outside of the Chicago area without a city planner. I think that tells us that we perhaps might need to reallocate those resources to a position that has a potential to be forward-thinking rather than reactive.
The city will be in the position of having a new mayor and at least 5 new aldermen, perhaps more. That's quite a bit of change. How do you envision your first year going down, given the newness of people that have to support and vote for your ideas?
Absolutely. In our prior meeting at the editorial board, and initially through the campaign, I've led the conversation on the need for some planning opportunities as a team to look to what each newly elected alderman and the new city treasurer and the new city clerk would like to achieve in their 4 years of opportunity to serve. As mayor, I'll lead that planning process, get feedback on what individuals would like to see happen in their wards, getting feedback from their constituents. And I believe the leadership style that I bring to the role is one of not only an effective manager, but also of a visionary leadership nature from previous experiences that I've had. And we can not only conduct a planning session or two with individuals from UIS who have some capabilities to help us steer municipal government planning session or perhaps an orientation session, and then set those overarching roadmap goals and then begin the process of moving toward those goals with the flexibility that allows for things that might arise throughout a year 1, year 2, year 3. These kind of retreats that I've led the conversation about should not only occur at the beginning, but should have checkup points throughout the year, whether it's every 6 months or once a year. These opportunities to get together with input from the public. Naturally, they'd be open meeting opportunities, but these opportunities should be highlighted at several standing points throughout the year. So with leading the effort as mayor, with bringing orientation experts from UIS, and then setting the roadmap together with the council, I think that's a way that I bring experience to the role for visionary leadership to help with the process.
Is your reorganization, does it require council action, or is it something you would do by executive order?
We would ask the council to ensure that they're in agreement with the goals that we'd have for that reorganization. They'll be providing the funding for that, and we need them to understand the reasons for it and why it has the potential to be successful, and then to then evaluate as we move forward throughout the 4 years of the term.
So it would be an ordinance?
Yes.
Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Kind of more of a process guy. And you're just a really pleasant guy and affable, easy to get along with. How are you when you have to tell people what they don't want to hear? How are you when there's some confrontation? There's really just a real difference of opinion. How do you describe yourself in those situations?
Several words immediately come to mind to answer your question. Firm, fair, consistent. When I've had the opportunity to deliver bad news, you have to make sure that you're firm with how the news is delivered, and whether it's delivering bad news or making a decision that has some negative consequences, you have to make sure that the facts have led up to a fair execution of that decision. That's not necessarily a popular one. And then once you have made a decision that may not necessarily be the most popular in the world, you have to then consistently, either in previous decisions or in future decisions, ensure that what has, the facts that have led up to the decision being made are then what you find in, coming to future conclusions of that nature. So I have experience in being both, or all three, firm, fair, and consistent. And then as mayor, you'll see that those three qualities in action to make sure that we are providing services that are providing jobs to the city of Springfield. That's got to be the overarching goal for moving the city forward, and developing the vision that we need, and then marching toward executing that vision.
So is there an example from your life experience, political experience, work experience, where you've had to exercise those principles?
Several occasions. First and foremost was when we looked at reorganizing the auditor's office, and moving elements of human resources that had been in the auditor's office for decades, and then seeing that those were not in the best order for human resources functions to be housed in the county auditor's office, because we were responsible for then auditing human resources and payroll functions. It was inappropriate for that to exist in the same shop, and therefore it was prudent to divest ourselves in the auditor's office of human resources functions. And so when we made the decision, it was delivered firmly and fairly and consistently, and it was unpopular, but we needed to move forward with that to be in compliance with our own responsibilities as an auditor, and then to move forward for the benefit of Sangamon County government.
Economic and population growth in the city of Springfield could be described as anemic. what stands in the way of economic growth, and can you get granular on that? What are the impediments to economic growth in the city and county as you understand them, and therefore would attack those impediments?
The word impediment might apply to how we have our ability to help shepherd new businesses and current businesses through the regulatory process. As mayor, I'll work to help that process be as, with the eye toward enforcement of regulations, but also to help those new businesses get into compliance and not be burdened by backtracking on the need to be in compliance. A lot of times we need to help a new business see everything up front that needs to be accomplished in order to be in compliance, rather than making progress on one level of compliance and then be told later that here's something else that you need to address. But if there's already money and dollars invested in this aspect of compliance that then requires additional investment that could have been better spent in the front, we need to have a developer or a new business entrepreneur know completely in advance what's required from to be in compliance. Shepherd them through the process, perhaps with a online portal, so that they know if they're pursuing this business or this development or this particular aspect of entrepreneurship, that's all available to them to know in advance. Have a one-stop shop that a developer or an entrepreneur can go to learn what they will be required to accomplish to be in compliance. So that's one impediment for people and individuals and businesses who come to the city of Springfield and want to start a business, but then feel like, you talk about granular, that kind of talks about being in quicksand when they're moving through this regulatory process. We need to help them understand the process and move quickly through the process instead of waiting days or weeks at a time for permitting responsibilities and opportunities. We need to market strengths of Springfield. And I believe I bring talents to the role that can aggressively accomplish that. We need to talk about what we offer with regards to the medical community, the educational community, our municipal utility, the leverage that CWLP offers to be attractive to new business. We need to talk about how we can market these strengths to potential businesses and customers and residents to the city of Springfield, so that we're attractive and that we show that we have the potential for them to succeed because of what we offer. And then also, I've talked about it before, the incubator opportunity. I believe that we need to partner with UIS in much the same way that the city of Springfield, Missouri has partnered with Missouri State to bring an incubator of a nature that can allow innovators and entrepreneurs to exchange their ideas in an open plan of working that will help market products, help develop products here in the city of Springfield, and get millennials excited and enthused about what Springfield has, not only from a business perspective, but also a cultural perspective.
We have a Chamber of Commerce and a medical district that assumedly do those things now. How would you change that or work with them to make it more effective, if that's what it needs to be, or have you talked to them about the problems?
Definitely. Mr. Hembrough and I have visited, and we've talked about how we can work together. As mayor, you'll see the City of Springfield, the Chamber of Commerce, and District 186 working very closely together to do just exactly that, market Springfield's strengths and attract new businesses here to the City of Springfield. You've heard me use the example before of Chobani Yogurt and Twin Falls, Idaho. That's a perfect example of that kind of a partnership that attracted an additional manufacturing plant from New York State to Idaho. We have to use that as a template example to be aggressive in how we match our strengths and what we offer to what potential businesses are looking for, in much the same way that any recent college graduate puts items on their resume for what they offer to a company, then they go to research companies that might be looking for what they offer, and then they go and knock on their door. In much the same way, the chamber, the city, and the school district will work together to attract potential businesses here, either on a fact-finding mission from their perspective, or on an opportunity for us to visit with them and encourage them to look at Springfield after we've obviously visited in advance to research what potential there is. But we need someone who has those strengths and those leadership skills to bring that team in, and then to market what we offer as the city of Springfield.
And what does the economic development department do now in the city?
They would do that, what they're doing now is, for example, I was at a city council meeting, and they had asked the director if they have been, I believe Alderman Simpson had asked, what are you doing to see what other cities are doing? The response was that, well, we go to conferences and we exchange ideas. Well, I'm not talking about going to conferences and just listening from peers. I'm talking about, actually researching businesses and entities that would have an interest in expanding their operations in the city of Springfield, and then go and encouraging them to do that, to expand. While you're looking at opportunities to expand, Springfield is one of those places that you need to look toward. You can't get that in a conference and exchange with your peers, because your peers are hunting for the same businesses that you're hunting for. I'm talking about actually going and encouraging and marketing what we offer to potential businesses in a manner that says we're ready for you to be a part of our city. And the mayor and the Chamber of Commerce president and the school district superintendent are the keys toward helping a business realize that that's what they can do to expand their success.
It sounds like you're in favor of change of leadership in that city department, yes or no?
I believe there's potential, but I'm not making any commitments to, there could be a change that doesn't necessarily mean that individual's departure. There could be other opportunities that could afford talents and skills in another arena. But perhaps we need an individual who can do the research for finding what businesses are looking to expand, what they might be seeking in terms of a community in which to expand, and then helping us go and part of the team with the chamber and the school district to begin that process.
Well, this is obviously a nonpartisan office, and it has been a positive campaign. It is, however, I just read over the letter this weekend. It is just 3 years ago you ran against Chris Boyster when he was running as a Democrat county board member against you as auditor. And this letter went out that you signed warning people that your opponent is a liberal gun control activist, a liberal lobbyist, a liberal board member, and once was even a liberal candidate for state rep. How can he do the job without background in finance? And Democrats are hunting for a launching pad to get control of more government money. And we've got Dem power brokers will leverage his victory to make inroads into county board, the city council, and other countywide offices. So pretty partisan stuff. How does that match the image you're trying to portray now and the reality of, would you hire a liberal Democrat into a city position or what?
Well, there's no Republican or Democratic way to fill a pothole, as the saying goes. And the letter you reference is designed to motivate a particular target audience to, open their checkbook and write a fundraising check and then put it in a
We also say, stop them now before we become a province of Chicago. I mean, and you will have your line in the sand against Democrat encroachment on Springfield. I mean, that's, you signed it.
Again, designed to, those types of fundraising letters are conducted by office holders in arenas around not only the state, but in the country.
Does that make it right?
It's designed to raise dollars.
Does that mean you didn't mean it, or do you take it back?
Well, it's designed to raise dollars, and how I will serve as mayor of the city of Springfield, as I've proven in other leadership roles and at the county, because I've worked extremely well with Democratic members of the county board. In fact, the Workplace Safety Board has one of the Democratic members of the county board as its chairperson.
Is that Clyde?
It is Clyde.
Okay.
And
He's an old-time Democrat.
age discrimination isn't part of my arena. I believe that aside from a fundraising letter, my track record of experience and goal-setted work shows that I work extremely well with individuals of both parties in a political atmosphere.
I wanna
Have
go
you
back.
been targeting voters of both parties?
Absolutely.
Are you providing the same material to both of them?
Yes.
If I could go back to economic development.
Yes.
One of the things we hear often is that the local banks are not willing to be primary lenders for economic development in this town, that they'll be secondary lenders, but somebody has to be the primary lender. And with the TIFs going away in some cases, or having questionable life expectancy, and state government not being a resource for anything anymore, how do you intend to go market your ideas for economic growth when they can maybe only apply to developers that bring a huge amount of money with them? How do you get the small guys?
Well, again, the small guys could mean individuals just beginning startups from the incubator standpoint.
They don't have to have borrowers? They don't have to have lenders?
Well, initially they're just expanding their product or idea as they move forward. But we have to make sure that as mayor we're involving financial institutions in the process of attracting businesses and elements to the city of Springfield. We include them in the process of how we are looking at potential businesses to bring to the city, and or current businesses that would like to expand their opportunities to the city of Springfield. We have a good relationship with a lot of the lending institutions in the city, and we need to include them in the process.
So could you use the Bel Air property as an example of, I think, two parts to the question. One, what the city perhaps did wrong in regard to that property for years, and what, under your plans, how that would take on a new life, what would happen? So are there things that weren't done correctly in dealing with that property? And then how would it look under you?
Well, I believe it would go back to the 3 points that I mentioned earlier: firm, fair, and consistent. As we go through the enforcement process, if we're going to express active pursuit of the Bel Air, then that pursuit has also had to have been with other properties. We can't just because one property owner might have connection opportunities in the city of Springfield, that they have opportunities to not be addressed as firmly as others. So firmly, fairly, and consistently is how we need to address situations like the Bel Air. I would prefer that with, like, say, the Bel Air, that we did not engage in a, as I called it, a ready, fire, aim movement on it, and we need to have a plan for what that property can be once the Bel Air is not in place. We have to, with the services of a city planner, see where, with abandoned properties that then become demolished properties, what's the vision for that once it's complete, once that demolition is complete. A city planner can help in that regard to see what we might need to do with regards to replatting to perhaps make properties more attractive. We need to engage in, say, the Bel Air property with the former Chantilly Lace property. How can those properties be planned for to maybe combine for a visitor center? I mean, that's been referenced before. What can those two properties develop, and how can they be attractive to a better use? And but I believe a city planner can help us be prepared for what first abandoned properties and then demolished properties provide with that canvas. How can a city planner spotlight what's needed and keep us focused on fairly implementing the plans once they're in place.
You really think we need a visitor center there when they've got that big, beautiful old building by the library museum? The one with the tower?
It's not a visitor center.
What is it? Don't they have brochures in there anymore? Okay, sorry, I'm behind the times. Okay. There you go.
One
There you go.
other ongoing issue, rail relocation.
Mhm.
Can you refresh our memory on what you feel about that and what you would take steps on as if you were elected mayor?
We need to move forward with 10th Street corridor's completion. As mayor, I'll continue to work closely with leaders at the federal level to make sure we've got the funding. And it's not going to be a short process. It will be a lengthy process as we complete the underpasses and overpasses. Ideally, 3rd Street's path will become recreational. Again, something that would be attractive to millennials. And we, in the process of completing 10th Street's corridor for train traffic, the intermodal transportation facility has to be a vision and a dream to accomplish. That way we've got everything under one roof in an organized manner, whether it's the capabilities for bus service or taxi service, train service, whatever transportation opportunities may exist in the future, that becomes the locus for all of that to have a opportunity to happen. Additionally, with regards to rail relocation, we need to ensure that all of the regulations in place for hiring of individuals of all races and minorities are engaged in compliance with that agreement, and make sure that that's moving forward for the job opportunities in the city of Springfield as well.
What would you do to make sure those numbers are documented and dealt with?
Well, first of all, you need to have those numbers on a specific website that is transparent and open for everyone to monitor that progress. As mayor, you'll see a number of transparency initiatives that we'll engage in to keep the residents informed of progress, either whether it's from a hiring perspective or just from a moving the city forward perspective.
About the leadership of CWLP, I know there was a letter to the editor from Mr. Burns the other day about Eric Hobby is a good leader, and you have talked about, I think you changed the name from entrepreneurial leader to something. But I mean, Todd Renfro was a non-engineer who led it. Is that the model you're seeking, or what model are you seeking? And could it be an engineer, or does it necessarily need to be a business person?
Unfortunately, the word professional was the hang-up for that letter, and that's unfortunate that perhaps one word was considered something that was not as complimentary to Mr. Hobby as it could be. But what I'm seeking is an individual that would not be of a political nature, who has the ability to focus on leading the utility. Mr. Hobby is indeed a professional. He's a professional engineer. In an organization standpoint, he has the need to wear the hat that he was trained to wear, and that is to be chief utilities engineer and afford someone the opportunity to lead the utility with a background in management to focus on what the utility needs to move it forward, either in the marketing arena, the leadership arena of the utility itself. An individual in the mode of Phil Gannett, who was an excellent leader for the utility, that was responsible and prudent in how he administered the utility's needs and the employees, who really respected Phil as an individual who did the right thing for the utility.
When you say market it, people buy electricity and water. What else should they be doing?
Being attracted to the city because of what we offer with low rates. An individual who can highlight the strengths of the utility as a way for a new business to want to come here because the rates are lower and affordable rather than a city outside of Springfield that might have rates that are in a private company that would be higher.
And I think as far as paying for this position, you say the position already exists because that's the assistant to Mayor Houston brash or
Right.
whatever.
Right, and with this investment, I mean, you need an individual who will serve well, and the dollars that we'd use to provide for a position, I think, would have a high return on that investment.
The governor has called for a study of consolidation of local governments. In our county, we have something like 118 units of local government that are taxing bodies. What do you see as your role in working more closely or coordinating or whatever C word you might want to use with those entities in order to achieve efficiency in government?
Sometimes by virtue of the nature of the role, the mayor of Springfield has the potential to be a unifying leader of all the taxing bodies. I would, as mayor, help shepherd some of the processes that we need to take a look at what, for example, I've been a proponent of the work of the Citizens Efficiency Commission. There are a number of menu options that the commission has afforded us to look at for streamlining services. And, leading in that regard from the mayor's office can mean making the case for how streamlining or consolidation of municipal services or taxing bodies has the potential to better serve the taxpayer. And that's what we need to focus on as we have this group come together to focus on better service to the taxpayer. That's how we would address some of these issues. Now, also, there's the opportunity that the mayor would have, and I would work on building with, is the case for if indeed a taxing body, let's say the school district, for example, has the need to increase its revenue after it has brought its house in order and believes it can make a solid case to the taxpayer for the need for more revenue. A mayor could work with the other taxing bodies to say, well, listen, if we can make this an accessible wash for the taxpayer and what they are being taxed with, maybe we can visit with the airport authority and say, how much would you be willing to lower your tax rate because you're doing extremely well so that the school district can help make our community a better place. And then we would visit with another taxing body to see how much they might be willing to afford for the school district to offer a revenue generating opportunity for them to do that. I believe the mayor can serve in a unifying role and a leader to help all of the taxing bodies realize that there's a need to focus on the big picture, and that's bringing new businesses and jobs to the city of Springfield so that we can grow as a community and throughout the county.
Do you have a residency requirement position?
I'm not understanding the question, Joan.
Residency
Residency
requirement.
requirement for the city?
We would like to, yes. Oh, a position. When you said position, I thought you meant an individual.
Yeah, no, you-
I do have a position on residency requirement,
Okay,
yes,
so people should live in the city to work in the city,
yes.
but the mayor can help other taxing bodies figure out whether they do or don't need taxes?
Well, a mayor can certainly provide leadership in helping see the big picture. If we continue to operate as we always have, we'll certainly continue to get what we've always got. We have to have leadership skills in the office that can coordinate for the bigger picture, for the big purpose.
Your neighborhood revitalization coordinator, is that a full-time position?
Yes.
And that person would do what?
Again, in a sample of what Peoria has accomplished, the neighborhood revitalization coordinator, brings together zoning aspects, police aspects to deal with problem properties, to help train landlords, perhaps offer a seminar to landlords that would be have necessarily been of a problem nature to
The ones that live in California and stuff?
well, if there's what the Peoria example is, there is a registration requirement for having tenants. And then sometimes that registration is waived if you have individuals attend the training.
So do you want that in Springfield? Do you want landlords to have training and get certified by the city to rent to anybody?
And if that's something that we can look toward as successful in Peoria, that can apply here in the city of Springfield, then if that reduces nuisance properties and problems, then we need to pursue that. But the neighborhood revitalization coordinator would also, take issues and complaints from residents and the need to address issues that come up of immediate nature, whether it's trash or problem properties.
I could just see property owners saying, that's another government intrusion in my business. If you say I have to register with the city and take a course.
But it can certainly help toward the problem issues that a lot of neighborhoods experience.
What about the diversity director? That's a full-time position?
Yes.
And what would that person do all day?
All day to make sure that businesses who are looking to operate in the city of Springfield they're offering opportunities fairly and consistently to all individuals, as well as the city of Springfield, to help us make sure that we're aware of hiring opportunities, recruiting individuals of all races to roles in the city of Springfield, police, fire, bringing individuals to of talent that we can bring into city government.
Do you have a person in mind for either of those?
Do not.
Should you win on April 7th, will we be seeing you again 4 years from now? Do you intend to run
Yes.
again?
Definitely.
How many times would you run?
Max 3.
Okay, you run both three.
Mhm.
Mayor Houston, you took exception to Mayor Houston changing his mind about running again. I just wondered if you could explain why that was an issue for you.
Well, it was a question of that he had made that commitment, and individuals had voted with that commitment in mind. That was an attractive component of their decision, and many times that willingness to make a pledge like that and then serve without regard to re-election was attractive to voters, and when he went back on that, I believe that was a bit of a buyer's remorse situation where a pledge was made and then did not deliver. That was my issue with that.
You've been running for mayor for almost a year now.
Mhm.
Is there any issue in which your thinking has changed during the campaign? Your position or your thinking has changed because of information you learned?
I have learned a lot of information, and I believe that it has not caused me to change how I would serve in the role. I believe that as a leader, you bring in as much knowledge to your decision-making as possible, and the knowledge that I've experienced since announcing on April 7th has been in line with what I need to accomplish as mayor. And again, that is the need to grow Springfield. There are a lot of issues that we face in the city that can be easily addressed if we would have more resources in terms of businesses and residents in the city of Springfield. And I believe that as a mayor, I can help move the city forward in that regard.
Politically speaking, I don't know if it's fair, but the governor is a member of your party, and the organization locally worked to get him elected, and he's talking a lot about unions, and he's talking about cutting perhaps $5 billion a year from the city. Any buyer's remorse there, or how would you work with that administration to try to alleviate some of the apparent money problems that may result from budget decisions that they would say have to be made?
I'm not sure about buyer's remorse in the regard of the election of the governor, but individuals of the same political party do not always have to agree. I would certainly not agree with Congressman Schock's actions.
You didn't take a helicopter here today?
No, I walked with my own 2 feet. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that one's political party binds one to others' decisions.
Is there anything that you would wanna clarify, in terms of anything we talked about today, or anything that's been out there during the campaign that you think merits clarification?
I don't know if anything requires specific clarification, but as mayor, I would believe that I bring the fiscal responsibility skills to continue the progress made on righting Springfield's financial ship. And I also believe that I bring skills from a leadership standpoint that cast a vision, that organize well for that vision to be achieved, that has a track record of finding the right people to help move that vision forward, and the communication skills that require the individuals involved in achieving that vision to move forward. That's a unique aspect of the role that I would bring, and I believe that's necessary to be able to promote what Springfield has and what it can be. You may know that I've said that we need to focus on perhaps aiming for a population measure of 124,000 citizens by the year 2020. If population can be considered a measure or a grade on progress made, I think we could aim for that and cast that vision and bring people together to work toward that vision. You don't want to just gain population for the sake of gaining population. Otherwise, is one question I received from a voter, well, why don't you just annex Leland Grove? Well, that wouldn't serve the purpose. That's like putting a piece of tape on the scale that says, 250 and step on it and say, look, I've lost 20 pounds. It's important to use population as a measure of what you did to help achieve that strength and that growth. And I believe I bring the skills to cast that vision and move people forward to achieving it.
Is it going to be fair 4 years from now to see if we've gained population and use that?
That's very fair. Very fair. And
why is that good?
why is what good, Bernie?
Why do you have to have more people?
Well, because more people, not for the sake of more people, but as a reflection of what you were able to accomplish that attracted more people. And what that is more job opportunities and attractiveness that brought people here to do business and to use that business and to be attracted to what the city offers from the safety standpoint, the educational standpoint, and the neighborhood attractiveness standpoint.